Happy birthday to ya. Happy birthday to ya. That was good, wasn't it?
It was nice.
That was actually quite a nice voice.
Yeah, it was nice.
Glad you know. I can see you as a little session singer.
It's Cheltenham week, but the race to the Premier League is by no means run. Plenty more jumps before we hit the final furlong. Now, I've been the rank outsider for the majority of my life, but this man's always been the favourite in the red and white silks. It is, of course, the thoroughbred Evans favourite, the ambassador, Marcus Gale, and joining us in the winner's enclosure, a man who had a mare at Cheltenham back in 2005, the Frankie Dettori to our AP McCoy and Ruby Walsh, Brentford women's gaffer, Carly Osborne. How are you, lads?
I'm not too bad. I like that intro, Stu. Very interesting.
Yeah, I gave it a go this week. Bit of Cheltenham terminology. I'm struggling. I had to Google most of that, and I had no clue on any jockeys really. But sorry, Carly.
I was good. To be fair, Stu, I was very well until you started spreading those lies about having a mare at Cheltenham. I'll have you know I played very well that day. One of the shining lights. This
must be a tough week for you with all these mentions of Cheltenham, but also we've let him get away with this because I didn't even remember it. But the ambassador, you were there that day. So this was League Cup 2005, 5-0. We lost to Cheltenham. I was there. Don't know why I went to a midweeker away at Cheltenham. We were terrible. Basically, you were babysitting, Marcus, weren't you?
Yeah, I was babysitting. I just couldn't keep a hold of all these youngsters around me. They were just doing what they wanted and bombing forward. But yeah, thanks for reminding me about that night.
Carly, today it's the day before your birthday. So when this goes out, it'll be your birthday. Happy birthday, mate.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Are you excited?
You know, I am. It'd be nice. Another year older, another year wiser, another year of
probably older,
looking better. You know what they say, age like fine wine, some would say. So
yeah. Steady.
What have you asked for your birthday?
Oh, I've asked for a few bits, to be fair. Asked for a few bits, some trainers, clothes, books, a couple of other little bits that I probably can't mention, but all good fun.
I don't want to know, mate. Don't want to know. Right. All that. Anyway, let's get on to the show after that. After the success of Is last week with Rico Henry, we're back again with Josh Dasilva. He scored some unreal goals, so I asked him which one is his favourite, and I also asked him to tell me something we might not know about him. Not only that, we will, of course, be going over Blackburn and Derby, and we've got our first celebrity guest. Impressionist and comedian Matt Forde joins us. He's a big Forest fan, so I thought who better to give us a lowdown on our Oppo tomorrow. Our editor Lukey, he thought he was a bit of a comedian last week, sticking that pre-titles on, so I thought it's about time we get a proper one involved. Carly, before we get into the show, birthday boy, what do we want them to do?
Like and subscribe. One of the best presents you could do for us.
That's it. Do it for this man on his birthday. Right, should we get into it, guys? Derby, Tuesday night. I was gutted. I was absolutely gutted. Ambassador, you were there, weren't you? It felt like a defeat, and that was kind of symbolised by that image of Vitali at full time, wasn't it, Marcus?
Yeah, very deflated at the end of the game. Disappointed. We controlled that first half in such a commanding way. It could have been any sort of score in that first half. I thought we could have probably got another goal at least, maybe two more, but it weren't to be in that first half. And then, the reaction or non-reaction out there to that second half performance of Derby really took its toll on us.
Yeah, Carly, like Marcus says, we weren't just coasting first half. We were battering them. Let's get it right. It was one of our better performances lately, and we could be disappointed not to have been 4 or 5 up really at half time. That's not doing Derby a disservice there. I imagine you've been involved in these kind of games on both sides. The one not saying you've always got in at half time down, but how does that happen where a team is dominating so much at half time and is in that controlling position and the game flips?
So I think you know, you realise that you probably rode your luck a bit, in Derby's case, and kind of that little half-time team talk, I'm sure, well, it did woke a good few of those boys up at Derby, and Brentford just didn't quite. I don't know if Brentford didn't expect them to come out like that. I don't know if maybe that, you know, with such a good performance in the first half, that they maybe kind of not, I don't want to say complacent, but maybe just a little bit relaxed coming up for the second half. And Derby capitalised on that. But it was nice to see, especially the first half, that Brentford, you know, were kind of performing, you know, back to their old ways with the level of that performance, and they missed chances that they really should be scoring, which is unfortunate.
Yeah, Marcus, obviously, like I said, you were there covering the game for iFollow. What do you think happened? I was chatting to a mate who's a Derby fan, and he said that he thinks they maybe kind of went to 3 at the back, which changed things a little bit. It changed the shape, and they changed it in the middle, which meant Norgard and Vitali and Jensen couldn't bomb on so much as they did. Yeah. So what do you think changed?
Well, the 3 substitutions at the start of that second half, that made the obvious sort of point. And then the second bit was the change of shape. They went from a flat 4 into a back 3 with Andre Wisdom on the right-hand side of that back 3. And it allowed, I think it was Byrne, to bomb forward down that right-hand side for them in attack. So it just kind of pushed our fullbacks further back. And they came out, it was like it was 2 different sides, as if we had swapped shirts with Derby at half time and gave them all our sort of energy. Derby came flying at the blocks, and you know, they got their first goal after just 90 seconds.
Yeah, and look, there are positives. And Marcus, Ivan Toney scores another penalty, 2 in a row, obviously, because the Blackburn game on Friday. But we kind of will touch on that. You still buzz off his technique, didn't you?
Yeah, I don't know how he does it, because the keeper gets nowhere near his penalty style. He just always seems to send the keeper the complete opposite way. And it takes a special person to do that. You know, you're making physical contact with that keeper with your eyes. You're watching him. Maybe that's the intimidation that he's intending to do, and kind of outfox that goalkeeper. But again, a superb technique. There's not many that I've seen throughout my sort of lifetime in football that can take it like Ivan Toney does.
He's just extremely confident in that technique and his ability to put those balls away. So, you know, it's a tough one for keepers. I suppose they try and stay as late as they can. Some will just commit to one side, but he seems to have it down to a T in terms of that technique and how he takes his penalties.
And he was involved in the second as well. And I think this second goal epitomises what we're about when we're good. If someone said to me, show me an example of what Brentford do, I'd say, just show this clip, insert this clip. Because bang, calm, composed at the back, we're in control, we're not panicking. Give it to our keeper who's got distribution like Xabi Alonso. Bang. Ivan Toney, what a touch that is, by the way. Perfectly into Sergi, who's running on it at pace. Checks inside, see you later, defender's sold for a hot dog, and an intelligent finish back to the near post so the keeper can't get down because he's expecting it far post. That's up there with one of the best of the season for me. What about you, Marcus?
Yeah, as you said, it's a classic Brentford goal. And we had runners. We had Vitali in a new position or more advanced position. He was the furthest forward in that episode of the game there. And for Sergi to get his goal, I think that's his 7th goal of the season in the league as well. So it's up there with one of his best returns. If he didn't score at the near post, I think people would have been fuming, because I think, you know, as an ex-coach and manager, if I used to tell my players, if you're shooting near post, you've got to guarantee you score, because if you don't, there's going to be questions asked by Toney, questions asked by Vitali. Why didn't you go across the face? But, you know, it was a great finish. It outfoxed the goalkeeper as well, because I think he went through the legs of the defender that was in front of him, which probably helped as well. But it was a great strike, great move by Brentford.
And loads of positives. We've seen recently Christian starting and Pontus now making a comeback against Derby. I wasn't expecting that. Massive boost going into the end of the season, Carly, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a huge boost. You know, 2 really key players in kind of what Brentford try and do. So it's great to have them back with the running coming up now. So yes, it's really positive.
I think because of this at the moment, with not being able to go to all these games and the games coming so quickly, it feels like you can go from really high to really low really quickly. Like I did it. Like Saturday morning, I was on cloud 9 because of the Blackburn win. Derby, I was like so low, and it was like there was no medium. Do you know what I mean? At the moment, I think I'm really struggling to find that happy medium of like, okay, it's cool. And it was interesting because Thomas kind of said it in his post-match as well after Derby about the danger for them as a group to cloud their brains with the negative and all the stuff going on, because I think at the moment it is really, really easy. You can catastrophize a defeat really quickly, and you can almost think that you're winning the league off one at the moment. So is that very important, Marcus, to kind of take a little step back and realise that we're not the only team dropping points? Mm-hmm. All right, Barnsley are on a hell of a run, but we were on a hell of a run not long ago. And that there's still a long way to go, because at the moment I'm going, we're going up, we're not going up, we're not going up. Do you know what I mean? That's how I'm thinking at the moment. It's not healthy, is it, Marcus?
It's not healthy, but I know exactly what you mean. I was in the same predicament last weekend, thinking, yeah, we've won on the Friday night, we're back into second, and then come 3-4 o'clock on the Saturday afternoon, the position changes, and then there we go. But that's the nature of this game, and particularly this championship this year, is that every team's going to have different times for their fixtures. Someone's going to have the advantage, and that's a different pressure. And then if you're playing secondly behind that, that's another pressure. Can you kind of capitalise if there was a slip up? And that's what this league's going to throw up over the next 10, 11 games. So there's a lot to play for. Can't just dwell on the negatives. We can learn from those negatives and make sure that, we try and address those. Again, we're seeing, from even back from the QPR game when we should have taken someone down, I think it was Willock for their first goal. We've seen that creep into the team now, where players are just thinking, right, I'm not letting that person go. We saw it last week with Mads Bech Sorensen on the recovery run. Just, all right, we don't want to really see that, but he took him down because he didn't want that counter attack. So the team are learning from mistakes. At the same time, you've got to keep the focus on the big goal, which is try and get the team promoted.
So this is why this league is the best in the world, in my opinion. It's so exciting. It's going to be a great end to the year. I need to just calm down a little bit, and maybe this will help take my mind off it a little bit. A nice little feature that we've got back is this week, Josh Dasilva took part, and he told me something I didn't know about him and his favourite TV show. I wasn't expecting this. Josh, how's it going, mate? You good?
Yeah, I'm not too bad. Yourself?
Yeah, I'm all right, mate. Look, I know at the moment, obviously, difficult time out with the injury. How's it coming along?
Yeah, it's going well. Just been doing a lot of rehab, been in the gym a lot. They got me working. So, yeah, just trying to get back as quick as possible to help the team, really.
Nice one, mate. Well, look, we'll have a little bit of fun today with this. And here is the first question.
Away at Millwall, my first goal. At Millwall away is obviously not easy to go to, and obviously it's my first professional goal, and it was a decent goal, so yeah.
That angle from behind on that one, that's the angle, isn't it?
I hit it and I just sort of knew, you know what I mean? I sort of knew, this one could trouble the keeper, and thankfully it went in.
Is that what it is? When you lay something like that, you just think, no, that's gone, that's bang.
Yeah, just the way I hit it, I just felt good. Yeah, when I just saw it fly off my foot, and it went in. Obviously I was losing one at the time, so I wasn't too excited. I wanted to just keep going. But yeah, when I look back, it was a good moment for me and my family. Man City, just the whole philosophy, the way they play. Because obviously now I'm playing, and I've obviously envisioned myself what would I do in this position, and the personality and the belief and the confidence that Pep gives the players, and they have to just take the ball, and you know what I mean? They're playing up from the back in their own box, they're passing. Do you know what I mean? I just think that's crazy. Knowing that, if they make one mistake, it could be a goal, but having that belief and that personality to do it, I think is unbelievable. So there's a few names for different reasons, because obviously Said Benrahma, unbelievable, but then for me, someone that's so good as well is Romain Sawyers. In the middle of the park, especially me playing the same position as him, just seeing how he controlled the game, crazy. When we play against West Brom, we know that, you know what I mean, don't let Brom get on the ball, sort of thing. Berre, obviously played with him at England, grew up playing with him as well. yeah, just unbelievable on the ball. Like the way he dribbles, goes past people. So I think for different reasons, yeah, there's a few more I could name, you know. But yeah, I think they're the ones that jump out like recently that I've played with, and you're like, wow. But there's a few more I could name. Roy Keane.
Why Roy Keane?
I think he's brutal, isn't it? But it's just funny. For me, it's just funny. Like I enjoy it. Like I just think it's funny, and he was just past my era. So like even when I talk to my brother, he's like, "Oh, you miss Roy Keane," because obviously me, I don't really see him play like that. So I don't really know. But in terms of the way he speaks and how he goes about things, I think mentality is crazy. I love AJ, but I think Fury might have this one.
Yeah, what do you think? Better like technical boxer?
Yeah, he just like the Wilder fight just it amazed me. Like both of them, like, he actually, just especially the second one, he really took it to Wilder, and yeah, it was just unbelievable performance. I think.
Ever tempted to do a charity boxing match if you can?
No, I'm not crazy enough to do.
if you had to, who would you go up against in the squad? Mate, your weight category would probably be like Vitaly.
I think I weigh more than him. Who would my weight category be? Probably be like Ivan or someone.
Yeah.
Yeah, be like Ivan. I think Ethan's a bit heavy.
Yeah, I was going to say, how do you fancy your chances against them two?
No, I would, trust me. But I'm boxing not really my. Like, I like watching it, like boxing UFC. Like my family, especially my brothers and my older sister, they proper watch it. Like they stay up and watch it. So they've got me into it as well. So I actually enjoy watching it. But putting myself in that situation is a different sort of thing. So yeah, it's cliche, but it's just work hard, man. You know what I mean? If you wanna strive for something, you just gotta work hard. You know what I mean? Like there's, you know, I'm thankful and blessed to be in a position I am today, but it didn't come without hard work from, first and foremost, my family taking me to training, and then obviously me being on the pitch. Like there's a lot of people that want to be footballers, but not everyone gets the opportunity, you know. So yeah, just work hard as much as you can. Like, every time you leave the training pitch or the match, leave it all out there, and everything will take care of itself, I think.
Rico said you were wise, and you can see that you are.
Yeah, I would say I'm wise. You know, I think it's just my family, man. My family are proper family, and we obviously we like to communicate. Obviously, I've got good older brothers and sisters and mum, dad that they've been through a lot, so they just pass their knowledge and stuff down to me. So like whenever I'm talking with the boys, you know, I just put my little gems in there, let them know a few things, you know what I mean? And obviously me and Rico are close, so we're always talking and conversating about football, life and stuff like that. So yeah, he probably hears most of it, I would say. I like animal programs.
Yeah.
I love it.
What, like Attenborough?
Yeah, and I've gone past him though. I've watched probably everything he could ever produce. Yeah, I love animal programs. If I'm not watching football, I'm probably watching animal programs. Yeah.
I didn't think that was going to come. That's amazing.
Yeah.
What's your favourite animal?
Lion. Yeah, lions are crazy, unbelievable animal species. They're just so interesting the way they move and just how they just hunt, and yeah, it's crazy. But yeah, I'm real big on animal programs. Just chill with the family. We're probably watching football. We're probably talking most of the time nonsense, and just like we like to just reminisce. Or whenever I go home, just reminisce, looking at old photos. Even the other day I went home and we was bantering how my dad used to cut my hair. Obviously, my mum was like to me, "Why don't you let your dad cut your hair?" I was like, "Mum, come on, be serious." And obviously, we were looking at old photos of what he used to do to my head and that.
Talk to me about these haircuts. What?
So to be fair though, a lot of us had it, but he used to like give us like the borderline. So like we had a shape up, and then he used to like do like another shape up behind, and it was like a borderline thing. It was kind of like it was in fashion back in them days, but it's just like, no, I'm alright. I leave that one there to the professionals. I'd say I have a couple. Obviously, one is reaching 100 games for Brentford. I think that was a big thing. big thing for me and my family. You know, taking the step into men's football and then being able to complete 100 appearances is big. Hat-trick, scored a hat-trick. England on the 19 Euros, just living life as well, man. Life is good. I'm blessed, so I think every day is a good day. Doing what I love, that's the best thing. Obviously, not a lot of people get to, you know what I mean, do what they love to do, especially with what's going on. So being able to just wake up and go into football, well, obviously not now because I'm injured, but go into football and kick the football, that's what I love. And do you know what I mean? There's not really much that brings more happiness, really.
Oh, lads, I really like that feature coming back. Big question is, who'd win out of you two in a boxing match?
Come on, man. Come on.
I'd eat Gailey alive.
Don't look like Tyson for nothing, man.
Oh yeah, tell you what, that I'd pay dough to watch that. We've got to get that on.
We'll get it on, man. We'll get it on. I'll teach the young pop a few tricks, you know.
I'll go on the undercard against someone rubbish if that's all right.
I'm more of an MMA man, to be fair.
Yeah,
I'm all right with that, man. I'm all right with that. I used to do kung fu when I was a kid, so let's get it on.
Right, let's leave this to after. I wish I never asked now. But let's get back to on topic. He mentioned Romain Sawyers there. We've said it before. He was slightly underappreciated, especially at the start, wasn't he? How good was Romain when he was with us, and how good is he still now, Marcus?
Yeah, he's a top player. You know, he had a very slow, not very slow start, but it just took time for him to warm up with the crowd and the crowd to warm up and appreciate his sort of level of expertise in that midfield. He was a joy to watch from the very start for me. I was always one of his biggest fans while he played. And I'm glad he's moved on in terms of status, playing in the Premier League for his hometown club. But I think sometimes as players, we really appreciate the players in training. You know exactly how good they are. And sometimes the crowd, they're not there every day in training. All they see is matches. And if the matches ain't the greatest, then they're going to form their opinion, which is right at that moment. But I think in the end, Romain showed his true class.
It's interesting you say that. And kind of, are there players that you've played with that, like you say, you mentioned that are great in training, but also that maybe give something to you as a group that we don't see, like do some dirty work that we don't see? I'm not saying Romain did. I think Romain was more one that he could look nonchalant at times, and maybe some people maybe thought he was lazy because of that. His technique was just phenomenal. Like I loved watching him, like those, like the way he kicked the ball and it would just zip, and it would like, I don't know. I'll tell you, it reminded me of Elise against Birmingham. Actually, his technique was brilliant as well. Anyway, getting back to the players, did you have players in your squads that maybe didn't get the accolades they deserve, but were just a dream to play with, Marcus?
Yeah, I think in my first stint, I would look at someone like Paul Buckle, who I knew from age 16. So we grew through that youth team and graduated into the first team more or less same time. He got in there before me. He was playing a lot more games at the start when he was about 20 years of age. And he would always, he knew my game. So if I was in the team with him, he knew exactly where I wanted to run. And I knew exactly that he could play that ball where I wanted it as well. But I don't think at times the crowd would really sort of see that sort of appreciation from him. He would do sort of the unsung hero stuff in that team. And don't forget, he still went on after he left Brentford. He still went on to play over 600 league matches, which is testament to, you know, the youth team we had at Brentford at the time.
Carly, what about you?
I would have played with a couple. I think kind of coming towards the end, I think I felt like Jonathan Douglas didn't always get the appreciation he deserved. He was a fantastic midfielder, and he was fantastic for me as a defender because he made my life so much easier. He done all that dirty work in front of me, but as well behind closed doors, he was a real gentleman and a good leader, and he made you want to challenge and be better. So yeah, I think eventually he started to get appreciated more, but at first it didn't feel that way. But he was a fantastic player, really was.
Probably my favourite ever Brentford player, Jonathan Douglas. Yeah, always say that. Anyway,
thank you. Cheers, mate.
So, apart from present company excluded, obviously it goes without saying.
Carly, you knew Jonathan Douglas was his all-time favourite player. So
I know.
I'm getting
coolest player in the world. Anyway, midfield is an area that we're getting back to Josh. Is an area that we're blessed with, really. Apart from obviously long-term injury, Shannon stuff, but we've got a lot of brilliant centre midfielders. This has been mentioned, and we've seen it a couple of times. He's been moved to the out wide areas, Josh. Do you think that now with almost a full strength squad, obviously, like we mentioned, the ones that aren't back yet, this is something that could be revisited, Marcus? Or do you think stick with him in the centre?
That's an option for him out wide, right? But also Brian plays well out there. He's in double figures for assists. We can see Josh, when he plays in the middle, he naturally drifts out to that wide right position and causes trouble. Where he gets goals, he gets assists as well. So there's healthy competitions for that wide right position, but also in his natural position, central midfield, he's under more competition with the return of Christian Norgard in there, which has pushed Vitali further up. So it's going to be a strong finish for Brentford this season, I feel, with players getting back to fitness, and that includes Pontuschance and that includes Christian. You know, they're physically fit, but they're not quite match fit at this moment, but that will come.
Carly, what do you benefit from Josh going out wide, and what would you lose from Josh going out wide?
I think you kind of benefit maybe a little bit more freedom being out wide for him, and I think, you know, we know what talent he brings in terms of on the ball, but I think at times, you know, when he's playing in the middle, it just allows him to dictate the game a bit more from that position, and kind of, you know, constantly be involved in the game when he's playing in there. So for me, I like it when he's pulling the strings in the middle, but you can see that there is benefits to him being out wide as well.
Well, he won't be fit quite for Forest game tomorrow. Marcus, obviously grown up a boyhood Forest fan, got your half and half scarf ready tomorrow?
No. I'll be wearing my shirt tomorrow, don't worry about that.
Well, let's look at the game. Obviously, they started poorly. They're 9 points off the relegation zone now, though, in 18th. Chris Hughton's really steadied the ship. How much do you think the disappointment of last season and missing out on the playoffs in pretty much the last kick of the game has affected this season, Carly?
Yeah, I think it's affected them in terms of the way they started. You can see it's had some kind of impact, and then obviously they're bringing in players who they're trying to fit into that as well, with the hangover of not kind of getting what they felt they should have last season. But Chris Hughton's done fantastic. He's gone in there. He's steadied the ship, so to speak. And you know, their performances are a lot better now. So it'd be a good challenge for Brentford. But you know, as long as Brentford are where they need to be in terms of mentally and obviously physically, I can't see there being too much of a problem.
But it really has been no joke for Forest on the pitch this season. But one man who can guarantee you a laugh off it is impressionist, comedian, host of Absolute Radio's Rock and Roll Football and the brilliant Forest podcast, Reservoir Red Dogs. That's a mouthful, I tell you that. It is, of course, the brilliant Matt Forde. I caught up with him to get the Oppo's view ahead of tomorrow's game. Matt, how's it going? Thanks for joining us.
Pleasure. Thank you very much for having me on. I'm nervous about this. Very nervous about playing Brentford.
Well, that's it. I was going to say, I'm not going to overrate the fixture and big it up all Sky Sports. First, would you even go into the game tomorrow?
Well, I do rock and roll football on Absolute on Saturdays, which has really cut down on the amount of games that I can go to because we're on from 2 till 5.
How are you feeling about the game tomorrow, though?
Slightly nervous because Brentford are very good. And I thought you were really unlucky last season. And I think since the Warburton era, really, I think we've always kind of struggled against you. Although I think I'm one of those football fans that always remembers the defeats rather than the victories. So I just think, you beat us every time we play you. And then you look at the stats and it's not quite like that.
And look, this is very narcissistic of me. What is your opinion? Like, what is your view on Brentford? You kind of touched on it a little bit there.
Oh, very positive. And I think partly because, obviously, you always think of friends you've got who support teams. So I've got a friend called Wes who's a Brentford fan. So for him, you always look out for your mate's team. But all those reasons, really, the Warburton era, where you really started to take off and play a particular type of football. Secondly, just as a visiting fan, it's such a great... And I realise this doesn't apply to the new stadium, but as you say, 1 over the 8 is still there. It was just such a great place to go. And being a Forest fan living in London, Brentford was always the one people look forward to most. And I have to say, that dark blue away kit you had last year, I'm not the sort of person who buys other teams' kit, but if I was, that would have been top of my list. I thought it was such a classy away kit. I loved it. and it deserved to be playing in the Premier League. I thought you were very unlucky.
Well, let's kind of get onto that, because we are two clubs that our final days of the season were horrid. I mean, I don't know. I was trying to think about it. I don't know who had the worst last day, but do you think that's affected you this season? Because weirdly, it hasn't really us, luckily.
Well, yeah, I think there were two very different. I think we're just in completely different situations. So for Forest, how this season started, really, I think, made us feel. That informed how we felt about the end of last season. So last season, obviously, you have this bizarre situation where we'd basically been in the top 6 all season, and we only drop out of it in something like the last 5 minutes of the entire season. And those last 2 games, we didn't even need a point. We could have lost those last 2 games and still got into the playoffs. So that in itself was just bonkers. I have to say, going into the final game at home to Stoke, that whole 6-goal cushion thing never felt that big to me. I thought, well, you only need 3 goals in each game, and Swansea are more than capable of scoring 3 or more goals. Like, it didn't feel like it was bonkers that we might drop out of it. Obviously we did, and just the feeling was surreal, because it wasn't like you lose a game in the playoffs where if you get to the playoffs, that's a form of an achievement. Obviously you want to get promoted and you're left gutted, but from a Forest point of view, it's been ages since we're in the playoffs, so you would think, right, that's a sign that we have visibly moved forward as a club. I hold about 5 different opinions about Forest at any one time. The one thing I really liked Lamucci, and at times it really worked. We had some great players, Joe Worrell and Joe Lolly. Matty Cash obviously went to Villa. Grabban was great last year. But I was never convinced, and this is maybe the indulgence of a Forest fan. I think we're one of those clubs that has a philosophy, and we like to see football played in a particular way, and obviously that's a huge legacy of the Clough era. But I was never convinced that kind of just waiting to counter-attack and almost solely relying on that, having quite a negative philosophy, just felt... It just makes you nervous as a fan, I think. I think if you can pull it off, then fine, do whatever you can to win. So I'm open-minded about that. But when it's not working, you go, oh, God, this looks terrible. So it was probably... And also, I think you need to give managers time. But that, again, is probably an old-fashioned view. You give them time, I guess, as long as there's some sign of progress. So I prefer Chris Hughton as a manager, is the short of it. And I think we play better. Not only have the results improved, but football is meant to be entertaining. You go to be entertained. And obviously, after so long out of the Premier League, I would happily settle for every game being 1-0 and us grinding it out just to get us to the Premier League. I would happily accept that, because that is far better given the choice. But if you can win and play well, it just makes it a lot easier. The games at the start of the season were just terrible. They were just terrible to watch. So now at least, if we lose, like we did against Norwich, you can in Forest, there's still a lot of work to do, but I think there have been times in the last few months under Houghton where we've at least been entertaining, where we've been able to string a few passes together and, just for like brief spells, play football and make it exciting to watch. And that is why football exists as a form of entertainment. And maybe under Houghton, it's been the first time all season where we've looked vaguely entertaining.
It's weird you saying that, because then it's something that maybe we've taken for granted a bit, and like we've still been I still moan and stuff, but we've been blessed with this great football. But you kind of mentioned him there. One name we heard loads last year, Joe Lolly. Like he was like, he even scored against us. He scored 10 goals. I barely heard his name this year. What?
Well, I think there's a couple of... I mean, he's a phenomenal footballer. Yeah. And for a few years, by far our most creative player. And so many of our goals came from him directly, or he was involved in them. And he's just brilliant. He's such an exciting player to have. And probably Andy Reid in the modern era is the most exciting creative player Forest had. And he was kind of reminiscent of him, really. Really creative. And a great goal scorer himself.
The other thing, you're blessed with 3 strikers that have scored a lot of goals wherever they've gone. Taylor, I don't know how close we were. Reportedly, we were in for him last season. Have we missed out there, or is he not kind of? I don't want you to
slag him off.
Obviously, it's an interesting one for us, kind of like seeing him in the division, what he's done with you guys, and obviously we had Lewis Grabban. and we probably let him go when we shouldn't have, because he's obviously scored loads of goals elsewhere. And then you've got Glenn Murray that scored goals at this level as well. Yet you'd think then you'd be scoring more than you currently are, mate. I don't kind of get it.
Yeah, I mean, I think, and I am not. The thing is, I'm a football fan. I'm not a football expert at all. In fact, I'm so shocked at my lack of tactical knowledge that I'm reading that book, Inverting the Pyramid, because I was like, how have I got to 38 and really paid no attention to tactics whatsoever? But a lot of the time I can watch games and not really know what's going on. I mean, I do a podcast for Forest called Reservoir Red Dogs with Paul McGregor, who used to play for Forest. And we went to, I think it was Sheffield Wednesday at home a couple of years ago. And he was just telling me what was happening as the game was going on. And it was almost like, you know, butterflies have one pattern that the human eye can see, and then there's one in like infrared that if you use different goggles, they've got a completely different pattern. It was like watching it through different eyes. It was all of a sudden I saw the other pattern of the butterfly watching it with Paul. So in short, the answer is I don't know, to be honest, but I just think with any striker, you have to, if they're going to score, it relies on a number of things. One is them being in a position to score in the first place. It's about service and things. But again, what was slightly frustrating about Forest is we created a fair few chances. It's just about putting them away.
It's weird you say that about McGregor. I do the same with Carly and Marcus all the time. I go, why has that happened? Like, I'm like, to me, that someone's made a mistake there, but I can't work out where the mistake is. And I do it all the time with them. But in the game last year, this fixture, obviously Lolly scored, and then I can't say the word to describe how you played the rest of the game, but we know it relates to a house. You did that quite a lot, it seemed, at times last season.
Yeah.
Still something you guys do, and in particular, one player, Bryce Samba, was the king at this last season. It was frustrating as hell, but I love that stuff at the same time.
He's an amazing keeper. Like, if people haven't seen him, he is incredible. He's one of the most confident keepers I think I've ever seen. He is so confident. He basically goes for everything, and he's full of beans, and he's brilliant. He's really, really talented. But yeah, that phrase became synonymous with Forest for a bit, which is a bit odd because obviously, like, our reputation is historically playing on the counter-attack, but also attractive passing football. Don't get into issues with referees and all the rest of it. And then obviously things develop, and we got known for something else.
Is that what will happen? Do you think tomorrow? Say you go early goal, 1-0 up. Will you just go right, time wasting and do all that, or have you kind of changed a bit under Houghton? Do you think?
I think Houghton's slightly different. I mean, just do whatever it takes to win. Yeah. Just do if you need to part the bus, just do anything. Just win. Everything else is a bonus. You know, obviously, if Forest get back in the Premier League and we're doing well, then that indulgence creeps in and you go, oh, we're not playing the Forest way. But for God's sake, it's been so long now. And it's probably not going to happen this season. So then if we do go up next season, then it'll be 23 years.
I'm struggling to have that much sympathy because you've been there at least.
Well, yeah.
We've been, no disrespect to the teams we've been playing my whole lifetime. Like, for us, I'm still like, whoa, we're in the Championship. For me, still a little bit, but I know what you mean. I think a lot of Brent fans have kind of got to this as well, where we're just like, just get the result. We don't care now. We've been around this area where we've been flirting with promotion. We just do anything, and it's weird. I speak to mates and they go, "Oh, I love watching great football and that." I'm like, I don't care. I'm the same as you. I'll watch rubbish if we win 1-0.
Absolutely. And all these people that say, "Oh, the Championship's the best league in the world," none of them support teams in the Championship. They're all Premier League fans or Scottish football fans. Go, "I love the Championship." You don't have to play in it. It's hell. And you're right, though, as a Brentford fan, I think you're in a similar position to where Wolves were in the mid-90s, where it felt like Wolves were on the brink of promotion for about 5 years and it didn't happen. And then obviously eventually it did. And look where they are now. But you get the sense with Brentford that you're sort of on the brink, and, you know, luck plays such a big part. You could have easily have gone up last season. Feels like you're really building towards something, but obviously that's only satisfying if it actually comes off. And every year, we go, "Oh, well, next season." But every year, 3 teams drop down that have mega cash, and a team that maybe missed out last year has strengthened. Just think, oh God, it's hell. It's horrible. Hate it.
Well, look, buddy, I'll leave you on that.
That's not too negative. It's better than being in League One. At least there's that.
Yeah, I mean, that's the preview everyone.
That's really bad.
We both hate this league now. And this is old school as well. Score predictions? I feel like we should do one.
You know what? If I was being really, really honest, I'd say a draw. Obviously, I wouldn't say Forest will win. I think 1-1.
Excellent. Matt, thanks so much for your time, mate. Appreciate it.
It's any time. Thank you.
It's good to get the Oppo's view on matches. I think we should do that a bit more often. It's got all the ingredients of a great game tomorrow, Marcus, hasn't it?
Yeah, all the ingredients. You know, we just need to get back on that form and start winning those matches. We're going to learn some lessons for it again, but that's what the season's put out for us to do. You know, it's never going to be easy, but we just got to start with the right sort of mindset and go and perform.
Exactly that, mate. And look, that is it for this week. I've got some prizes news before we go, though. They're all signed. I just need to get into the training ground next and get them. And then once I've got them, we'll send them all out to you. Before we go, I want to say a big shout out to Simon Atwood-Cox, who on Saturday is doing a 24-hour gaming marathon. He's streaming that live on Twitch. He's raising some much needed cash for children in care. Fantastic cause. So well done, mate. We'll put your Insta page somewhere here so everyone can have a little look and find out how they can donate to that. Top work. I mean, I've done some long stretches on Football Manager, but 24 hours, that is ridiculous. Fair play to you. Fair play to you. As we mentioned, Nottingham Forest game tomorrow. That game is live on Sky Sports, 12:30 kickoff, remember. The B team are back in action next week on Thursday against Charlton Athletic. More info on that will be released nearer the time. It is, of course, International Week next week. Traditionally, we've not done a show, but let's do one. We're going to do one. I mean, that's if you two are still going to be with us by then, or you haven't started your own show.
Oh, wow. Oh, he's having a little rib tickler on you. You know what? We might have to put you and him in the ring and sort this out.
I know he's not happy. He's not happy, is he? Listen, we're still going to be there. I'm here for you, mate. Don't worry about that. I'm not going anywhere yet.
Don't break up the family. Well, look, I've got a little idea for a challenge actually next week. So maybe Marcus.
Another win for me then?
No, me and you can finally beat him. That's it. I'm going to rig it so in our favour, basically. But yeah, I've got a nice little challenge. So keep an eye out for that week. So yeah, see us back here next week, 6 p.m. Thanks for watching. Hopefully we'll have 3 points in the bag as well. Stay safe. Have a great weekend. You Reds!